I teach Gen Z every single day. I mean, every semester, hundreds of students. So my shock was perhaps less than the rest of the team because I'm in the room with them. Now, NYU students are not quite as representative of Gen Z as outside of NYU. These are MBAs, so they tend to have a little bit more grr going on. I think that when we saw the 2% number, which we can get to, we were all like, we checked it about 35 times because we thought that is much lower.
Define that number.
Okay.
Get to that.
So what we did is we have a tool called the Values Bridge, which we developed in our labs. And what it does is it ranks your values from 1 to 16, your personal values from 1 to 16. And so we now 75,000 people have taken this test, but at the time we did the research, it was 45,000 people. And we were able to cut it by generation. And we were able to see Gen Z's values ranked from 1 to 16, and their number one value is something we call eudaimonia, which encompasses self-care, recreation, leisure, fun employment. Just
sounds like John Tucker, Paul.
I think we all know somebody who's eudaimonia is their number one value. Number 2 was authentic self-expression, voice as we call it, and number 3 was the desire to organize their life around helping other people, which is very admirable, I would say. But after I saw those top 3 values, I thought, I wonder what hiring managers are looking for, because my students are going out into the world to get hired. I have 4 adult children who are fighting out there in the world every day. So we did a separate study, and we replicated it twice after that to say, okay, here are the definitions of all the values hiring managers in knowledge industries, mainly business. It was tech. It was accounting, finance, and so forth, the consulting. What values are you looking for? And lo and behold, they were looking for the number 1 value of achievement, the desire to have success that other people can see. Number 2 was a desire for learning, stimulation, and growth. And the 3rd value was work centrism, the desire to work hard. And when you cross-reference those 2 data sets, it ends up that it's just 2% of Gen Z that have the values that hiring managers are looking for.
It's interesting. I have 4 Gen Z adjacent kind of offspring. They're all employed. But they tell me their first memories of my oldest were 9/11. That's their first memory.
Yeah.
And then they had, the great financial crisis.
Right.
Their parents were impacted. Everybody's parents are impacted. And then they had the pandemic. So they've had some stuff, And I wonder if that influences kind of how they view the world.
Yeah, I think they don't want to buy into a deal that their parents bought into that didn't work out for a lot of their parents. I mean, you can come up with 100 reasons why they have these values, and they're entitled to them. I think that the problem is values have consequences, and so some of them also have affluence as a top value, and then they are very frustrated and frustrated to the point of kind of anger that they don't get to have affluence also as an output if you have the value of self-care, number 1.
Yep.
So they can have their value. I don't, how they came by their values, I get it. There's a million reasons. I mean, their parents might be to blame. I mean, with the torrent of letters that came to the editor after the article ran, a lot of people had a lot of people they wanted to blame for this phenomenon.
Yep. What does corporate America do here? Does corporate America adjust, do you think? Or do the students adjust? Or do they just find some common ground, maybe?
This is the million-dollar question. So I've talked to a lot of business leaders since the piece came out. And so the companies with brand equity who can go higher, the 2%, are out looking for them earlier. And one executive said to me, this is a cage match we're willing to fight. All right, they're going to go find that 2%. They know where they are. They're going to go get them earlier, and they're going to lock them down. And then other companies are going to have to figure out what to do about the fact that they're not going to be hiring young people who share their company values. And do they accommodate them, or do they try to slowly move them over to a different way of thinking? It's very hard to talk people out of their values, however.
Yeah. What do you find in the MBA program? Because you said those people kind of self-select. They want to achieve, presumably. But again, I would suspect you see some of that in your classroom.
I mean, I see a preponderance of eudaimonia, self-care being a top value. I do have MBAs, okay? And so, and in particular, the MBAs who are majoring in finance, they have a lot of the values that companies are looking for, and they're picked off pretty early. But I don't think this is true in colleges in general, and I think there's a few, and this is what I mean, is that companies are going to figure out where the 2% are, and they're going to come get them, and they're going to get them early.
So how about for these kids, though? I mean, do they recognize that maybe they are, in fact, different from certainly maybe their parents and maybe their grandparents and others, and
they're defiant,
and they're okay with that?
No, they're defiant. I mean, they're not just okay. They're defiant. They're like, I mean, the letters from Gen Z that I got, the emails were like, hey, shut up over there, lady, because you ruined the world. You boomer people ruined the world. And our response is this. And why would we want your values? Look what you did to us with climate change and terrorism and school shootings. You created this world. Why would we buy your version of events?